all the microphones, like this one, are on all the time and into the system. So without any adjustments whatsoever, you just turn this switch on.
Oh, you turn it off. Okay,
You can turn it on there. And then,
just like the old one.
yeah.
It is the old one.
It is the old one.
Ours looks like it looks familiar.
Except the sound
Except for this sound.
There you go.
You want me to say?
Well,
If you speak into it, we can hear
then I can hear you better.
Okay.
you. Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son.
perfect.
Better than it was where you had to have a...
I got new hearing aids, so I can hear. That's the problem.
Yeah, so this microphone, and with the room and the PA, the way it is, you'll find that you'll be able to use these mics from a position like this. You're not going to have to eat it, and if you do find somebody who is habitually on the mic, there's compression on it, so it'll prevent them from getting so loud that it blows you out. So that's the basics of the sanctuary, and then there's the fellowship hall, which we can go over to in a minute and look at as well. It has a wireless microphone that can be used in the room. Again, it's automatic. And there is the ability to play music in both of these rooms through an auxiliary input, which is in the rack room. So if you have an iPad or a phone with some music, you can put it up there and drive it into the room. Then we have a overflow function. And so this is, there's another projector that you guys would be providing that would be installed on a table in the middle of the fellowship hall. That would duplicate what's showing here on the left projector again, following the primary. That would duplicate over into the fellowship hall. And the audio duplicates as well. There's a fader over there on the touch panel.
And so up there on the wall, there is a camera that has the ability to tilt and pitch up and down, move wherever you need to point it, and zoom. And it is controlled with a...
So it's controlled by, it obviously does have its own remote, and the design intent of the system is that we would set up to 4 preset shots with that camera. And then those presets can be called from the touch panel, or from the iPad in that case.
And then the other video inputs would be our Blu-ray player, and mounted on the AV rack in there, or any of 3 places we could plug in a laptop.
Correct.
That covers it.
Yeah.
Let me just follow up on that question. The rack here is the source for video for the fellowship room. Does the video source have to be plugged into that, or will one of these that's being displayed here also transfer over?
So the fellowship projector, which will be on a cart,
Right, yeah, it's already
if you have a local source of video over there that you want to see, you'd plug it right into the projector. And then if you want to do the overflow from here, then you'd plug it in. There's a connector coming out of that floor pocket. Okay. You hook it into the projector, and that'll give you a feed from here.
Okay. Good. This may be redundant to what you just said, but suppose I have something on a thumb drive, a PowerPoint. You would plug the computer in here with the PowerPoint, and then you would choose whether you want 1 or 2 screens.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you're showing it just to a small group in a fellowship hall, you would plug your computer into the projector directly and wouldn't use the AV system.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you can in the fellowship hall, it's kind of a hybrid because you could use the ceiling loudspeaker system with your laptop to get the sound from there if you wanted to. So there's on that floor pocket there's a video output to go to the projector, and there's an audio input to go into the system.
Would both of them require a computer to plug the thumb drive in,
You have to have a computer.
You have to have,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
That's good to know about the speakers, because that's a given. If we're running a computer in there, driving a projector, we would like to use the sound system.
Yes.
Perfect. And would we be able, is it RCA inputs?
It's what it is actually an XLR connector because it's like a microphone connector. Because of being in the floor, we want to make it really robust and smooth. So we'll provide a small interface unit that'll plug into that, and then it'll be mini 1/8" mini to go to your laptop.
Because the other thing I'm thinking is if we were to show a movie in there off of a DVD player, we'd want the audio to go into that. So that'd be coming off the back of the DVD player with an RCA plug. But
You could just use an adapter.
You have RCA, dual RCA to mini stereo adapter people use to get their phones or their iPods into their stereo system.
Same thing, yeah.
David, would you mind pointing out what all the connectors are?
Sure. So there are additional features we haven't talked about yet, but if you look in this floor pocket, these panels here, the multifunction panel, exist in the 3 locations. These are the video input panels. And so there's one of these. This is floor box 1. On the other side over there is floor box 2, and then there's the wall panel back there. They all look like this. And they have an HDMI input, and they have a VGA input. The VGA also has an audio input jack over here. So if you have an older machine with a VGA connector, you can plug it in there and put audio into that. It automatically switches between the 2 inputs, so whichever one is plugged in is the one you get. If you should be so bold as to plug both in at the same time, then you take your chances of what you get. But actually, you can switch that here with this little button, if you do such a thing. That will never happen.
And you know that
I guarantee it.
audio is embedded within the HDMI.
It's defeated. That's a non-functional button. This button here, a gentleman asked, what does that do? And it does nothing. It just happens to be on the panel because that's the way they sell it.
Vestigial organ.
It's a vestigial organ, yeah.
it's called the Holy Spirit. That's the belfry.
So,
8-inch stereo.
yeah, 1/8" stereo here, VGA, and it's a scaling system, so it automatically takes whatever you give it and puts it up on the screen in the best possible manner. Then power here, obviously. Then on the other side of the floor pocket, this is the microphone input. This would be for the podium mic. That's an XLR. And there's one of those on all 3 pockets. And then this is a monitor output. That's a Speak-On connector designed for a loudspeaker connection. I don't know if you folks have monitor speakers.
No, we don't, and we sort of thought we'd see if we needed them or not.
Okay. So that's,
I would be surprised if we do.
Well, all 3 floor boxes have monitor outputs in them,
Okay.
which has an amplifier in the rack, which
Yeah.
the digital signal processing matrix device we have.
it's a Speak-On
Any source
connector. It's
for
a
monitor outputs,
2-pole
people on
loudspeaker
stage can
connector.
hear
It's a push and twist.
choir or an instrument or any source of audio, but we need to program that.
So it's already programmed, and but there's hidden behind the glass of the audio processor is a little matrix, so we can decide what goes to that. It doesn't have to have the same mix that we send to those speakers. Most likely you won't want the same mix. So that would be something that, again, you decide when you get speakers, give us a call, come down and play with it, set it up, and then save a preset or save it into the preset so that the levels are correct the next time you plug it in. So again, it should be automated. Shouldn't have to have any.
It's pretty safe to say that most of the key users here will never need to go in AV.
Other than turn it on.
It turns on from the touch panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, with the exception of the Blu-ray player, they'll never need to go in there.
To get the microphone.
unless you want to plug in to get the microphone, right? Or to plug in an auxiliary music source.
We can look at that input too.
Yeah, we can look at that. So we should probably look at this other, can we get to it? Oh, here it is, okay. So this one does not have a video input. There's no video input here, but there is the connectivity for the organ. Actually, there's a panel that's not put in there yet because the organ hasn't been purchased. But we have the wiring in place for that to bring the speakers up to the ceiling over there. They're just tapped off right now behind blank panels. And also for the subwoofer, there's a connector panel over there that's also blanked off. So the wiring's all in place, it just needs to be terminated. And then the organ, there's an organ XLR input here as well. So that's a line level audio input that goes back to the system and it can be mixed in. We don't think it's going to be used with this system because you have your own speakers for organ, but it is in the mixer so it can go to the overflow for the other room. So basically, like a lot of touch panels, it goes to sleep, and when nobody is using it, it just goes into a screensaver mode, which has got a clock on it, and that can be changed if you don't like the clock. So you touch it, and it wakes up to basically the home page. This touch panel has no page flips. It's one screen. That's what you see is what you get. So what I'm going to do is shut off the system, and this is going to be boring because we have the projectors on. We have to wait for the projectors to cool off before you can turn things back on again. So there's a long delay. So the first thing, and that also occurs when you start the system up in the morning. So we're doing AC power management with this control system. So what that means is that when you've got the whole system off, the actual power in the rack room is off. The switcher's off, the processor's off, the amplifiers are all off, the wireless mic receivers are all off. There's no power there except for one thing, which is the controller that this talks to. So you can turn it back on again. So because of that, when you first power up the system in the morning or before anything you're going to do, it's going to take a bit of time to wake up. And so come in, turn it on, and then go about your actions, and then come back. It'll be about 3 to 4 minutes because it takes, it has to boot, basically. All the processors have to wake up just like a computer does. And right now it's saying system is switching off, please stand by. And that's because projectors have hot lamps, and there's a turnaround time that is required for them to cool before you can start them again. So there's a delay also in the processor. I can even hear it's running still. You'll know it's completely off when you hear the fans die off. So there's 2 rooms here. Now, both rooms depend upon this rack in here. So if you turn the fellowship hall on first in the morning, it also has to wait for this rack to wake up. So, and if you turn the fellowship hall off, or turn the fellowship hall on in the morning, come in here, turn the sanctuary on, and then turn this off and walk away, the system's not off. It's not off until you've turned both rooms off. What we just did was turned off the sanctuary while the fellowship hall was on, which is why the rack is still powered.
Okay.
That's exactly, we demonstrated what we were just talking about. Okay, so
So you punched the middle button there
there was only one button.
to push, and that's
It says welcome, turn it on. And then you get this choice. There's a menu of how do you turn it on.
Get close,
So I can cancel this. So this is your main page that you're going to see when you wake
you
up.
got a big choice.
You're not going to see that until you touch it because it's going to be black and there'll be a
Which
clock
of
on
the
it.
3 did you touch?
I haven't touched anything yet.
Okay.
So Sanctuary on turns on the rack in this room, but it hasn't done anything until we decide whether we want audio only or audio and video. So that's basically because if you don't plan to use video, there's no point in burning the lamps on the projector. So if you're just going to be using the sound system, just hit the audio only button, and that'll turn the rack on and fire up the microphones and everything, but it'll leave the projectors off. So I'll do that right now. And it waits for the boot time, so it's going to, you know. Okay, good. So
And
it actually,
boot time wasn't long because the fellowship hall
it was already on.
So many of the processes were already on.
Correct, and the projectors didn't have to cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now this screen, and it says at the top here, you can barely read it, it says audio only mode. And you get a button here that allows you to go ahead and switch the projectors on. So if you should be in an audio mode only and decide later, oh, let's show something, then you can turn it on and you don't have to go through the whole wait cycle of turning the whole system back off, turning it back on again. So the only other controls you have are a power off, the system off button there, and then you have audio presets. Audio presets, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so far I haven't come up with any reason to have more than one audio preset, but there's 4.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Maybe someday, but you know, the idea there is, you know, preset number 1 is the most common. That's the one it comes up with, and it'll have the wireless mics on. It'll have the program from the computer, selected computer, and probably no choir mics are off, organ is off, stuff like that. Then if you come up with a concert setting and we do it set up for you and get it mixed to the point where it works, then we could save that as preset number 2. Yeah, so that's the basic concept. So rather than having a whole bunch of individual faders and stuff that, you know, you have to think about, have to understand and learn, it's just a preset. So as long as things stay the same, specifically that microphones don't change, the presets will continue to be just what they are. But that's the one thing you have to be aware of. If we set up a preset that says that, you know, I've got this gooseneck podium mic plugged into floor box number 1, and we set it up and it works perfectly, and then you come back and, oh, I have a new microphone, let's try this one, and plug it in, all bets are off. It may not work under preset number 2 at that point. So that's the automation depends upon consistency of all the sources. So you don't have a bunch of different things changing. You have to go in here, and this is the jack.
Okay.
Comes right out here, and the volume control is going to be on your iPad. So it's like, oops, I thought I was turning the volume. Can I?
No, well, you probably did, but,
I was just wanting to make sure it wasn't all the way up before I plugged it in.
oh.
Okay. And
On the bottom. You must not have an iPhone.
no, I don't. Thank you.
Mine's on the top, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you've got a
5,
4. I've got a 5,
or
yeah.
something.
It's better
Okay.
on, it's better on the top, actually, because if you're looking, yeah.
So you know,
Okay.
turn it up a little bit.
Oh, beautiful.
Beautiful sound.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the sound
You want to just set it down? And,
Did you have to do anything? No, that automatically play. Did you have to press anything?
she pressed it. So that's just mixed in with the other sources. So the microphones stay hot. And we didn't have to do anything to turn that on, just plug it in and it works. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go from audio only mode to projection mode. So that's this button that says switch projectors on. I'll hit that. And now it's going to delay because we have to wait for the lamps to warm. So now we have the projectors on. And when you go into projection mode, when you turn that system on with projection, it calls a fixed preset, which is what's going to the two projectors. And we arbitrarily selected podium 1 and camera. So that's the left projector is blank right now because there's no podium computer. If we had a podium computer, you'd be looking at it. The right projector has the camera. So and you can see this over here now. You might need to come in a little closer to see how this works. Down the left side are the sources that we've talked about earlier. On the right side are the two destinations, the left projector and the right projector. So below the buttons, there's some text. So that's telling you what the left projector is currently showing. So left projector currently showing podium 1, right projector is currently showing camera. Now, if you want to see projector 1, if you want to see camera on both projectors, you would select the camera here and then just push that button. Now they both say camera and we should be seeing camera coming up on the left.
Yep.
Let me just sort of outline this screen maybe, and we'll be delivering you kind of a quick start guide, which will be, 1 page probably, maybe 2, with some images of this. You'll see that the center area, I'm going to explain it anyway, the center area here is right now showing camera presets. The reason for that is that we currently have a camera button selected over here, as it's got the green highlight around it. Now if I go to Blu-ray, the whole center section changes to show the Blu-ray controls. So now if I wanted to play my Blu-ray, there's no Blu-ray disc in there right now, but I can send the Blu-ray to the displays, and I should see a menu there. It says no disc because there's no disc in there. I can put the setup menu up, and there it is. So I'm operating the Blu-ray from here. Okay. Now the other controls here have they're just inputs, so there's nothing happening in the middle here. It just says use the selected source device to control the content.
Those are the floor box and wall plate inputs, correct?
They are. Podium 1, podium 2, and wall plate. Wall plate there. Yeah. So remember that when you want to see video source, it's 2 steps. Select the source, let's say camera, and select which projector you want it on. And if you want it on both projectors, you got to hit the button, both buttons. So it's 2 steps: source, then destination. And then the audio presets buttons are still here. They're on every page, and again, there are no other audio presets. If we go to another preset here, I set them all to off, so that's essentially a mute. Everything's off right now. This should be off. It is off, and if I go to 1, then it turns it on. Okay. So the camera presets right now. I preliminarily set. I have to change this one. Number 1 is no good at all. It's the ceiling. I was just testing it. Number 2 is, if anybody notices, backwards.
I was wondering.
So in order to, this is probably a function that you want to limit who can do this. as well as the projectors, explicitly the projectors. So there's going to be some remote controls. This is the one for the camera. There's one for the Blu-ray. There's one for the projectors. Those should be locked up somewhere where they don't get lost, they don't wander off, and they don't fall into the wrong hands. You really don't want to change things on the projectors. They're set now. They're in full bright mode, which you need both lamps. They're established. Their aspect ratio and scaling is set correctly for the sources that are coming in. So there are settings. There are deeper menu settings available in the projector, but you need to have an expert to make those changes. So I'd recommend you never use that. The camera is going to get you into less trouble, but you need to use this in order to set presets. So the presets are actually stored in the camera and then they're called from here. So I'll give you a little bit of training on how to do this right now. The presets are called simply by pressing the number keys. And 0, it's a little confusing, I'm going to fix this, but 0 is 1 on this, whoops. 0 here is 1 there, 1 here is 2 there, and so on. That's driving me crazy. That'll be fixed. But right now, to make changes to the camera, you basically use pan, so go left, right, tilt, that's up, down, and zoom down here, that's in and out. And so if we walk over here, I can show you how this works with the camera. This is preset right now. I'm going to store this as preset 0. And to do that, you press this preset button, hold it, and then press the number. So you got to press them both at the same time. And you got to make sure it's getting your IR. It's not a very good transmitter. You have to really point at it. So 0 and so that should be preset 1. So now if I go and pan it to the side and then hit 0, it should take me back to that shot, which is exactly right. Same as the other room. You turn this on, the microphone is live. This mic is pretty heavily compressed, so if you jump on it, it's not going to bite you. But you have a pretty good range on it. We can hold it down here. No feedback. The room turned out pretty good. We can hear. I think I can't hear myself because I'm talking, but I think I heard it earlier and sounds okay. So, and so here I am talking to the wall. Yeah. So in this room, touch panel functions are much simpler. There's really just the program volumes. So you've got 3 volume controls in here, none of which control the microphone. Microphone's always good. You just turn it on, it works. Laptop volume. So that's for the input that's on the floor pocket over there. So when you're doing your projection. Sanctuary volume. So that's your overflow level. So whatever's playing in the sanctuary, you turn this up and you have it here. Auxiliary volume is the jack in this room for your iPod. And it's in the same place in this room as it is in the other. It's up in the upper right-hand corner of the rack. And I'll even label it.
Does the volume for the overflow, you have to enable something here to get that volume to work, or is it just by raising the volume you get?
Just raise this volume right here.
Okay.
You raise that up and you're going to hear whatever's going on in the other side.
Simple enough.
Yeah. And you've got mutes, so you can, it's pretty intuitive little icons there. If you want to leave it up at a certain level and say that's the level I like, and then you can just mute it until you want it. The only other thing that's going on is the kitchen, and it has a pair of loudspeakers in the ceiling, and there's a volume control on the wall for it, independent of the other stuff. So this is not controlled from that touch panel. It's controlled from this physical rotary knob in here. So you have to turn these little screws to the place where the flat lines up with the door, then you can open the little door. So you've got power and you've got signal. So these are the two connectors. This one here, which is looks like a network connector, it's not a network connector. This is not a place you plug your laptop's network into. This is a video connector. You take this and you plug it into a special box that we'll give you. It'll go onto the cart and we'll convert that video into HDMI so that you can plug it into the projector. So this also needs a label that we need to remember to do. So that's how you get video from the sanctuary hall into the projector. Whatever's playing on the left projector in the sanctuary will come out of that jack. The HDMI coming from sanctuary to here will have the program audio on it, if there is any, like if it's a Blu-ray. Yeah, but you'll get your microphone audio through the fader into the ceiling, not through here. I mean, I don't expect you're going to have sound coming out of the projector here because there's a sound system here. So then this XLR connector here is an input to the sound system here. And it's a mic level. It's set up, actually, it's set up pretty much mic level. We have these little transformer direct boxes that convert from a 1/8" mini stereo to a mono mic level. It's mic level, right? Yeah. And then, so that's how you would get your laptop audio into the system up here. And that's on a fader on that panel over there. It's called laptop input. Hopefully you'll have a cart that you're going to use.
We have a cart.
And that cart will be permanent for this purpose. So we can take those adapters, the little HDMI converter and the little audio converter, and tie route them down or Velcro them some